This is a how-to on changing the bulbs inside the heater control panel. The other night I was driving, looked down, and all I could see was the orange light glowing for the air recycle. None of these were lit up, so it was quite hard to remember which was screen and face or kind of down to the floor and speed fans and all that sort of thing. So I think it's quite an easy job to do. Looks like it's a case of removing hex screws at either side of this lower console, and then this should all pop out. I think the gaiter, you pull the gaiter off, and then it all just pops out, and then the screws under here holding this in place, and then it should be just a case of putting in a couple of replacement wedge bulbs. Let's just see if I have got some wedge bulbs, but whether or not they're the right ones, I'm not sure. T5, 1.2 watts, 12 volt. So yeah, we'll take this off, and then I'll show you how I got it off, and also if these bulbs are correct or not. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, so I'm just going to give it a quick go, and then I'll come back on the video to show you what I did. Right, we've got the 4 screws out now, 2 either side, one at the top, one at the bottom. This gaiter needs to come out, that just pulls out like that. Interesting to have a look at that, and then, if I get this right, I think this all lifts off out. Maybe it needs to unclip. Seems to be fixed to there. Right, let me have another check and I will come back. Right, okay, what it is once you've done the screws, this pushes on into a pop fitting onto that, so they're joined, so you need to just pull it off like so. Once that's done, we've then got another 1, 2, I think it's 2, 3. There's a screw down there, black one. So 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. Get all those undone, and then we should be looking at the inside of this panel. Okay, so we've got the screws removed. The only thing to say about the screws is the shiny ones either side are longer than the black one in the middle, so I would just make sure that black one goes in the middle back. You don't really want to be mixing them up and causing any problems. So if we look at this now, ooh, there we go, so just pull gently at the bottom, there we go, and boom, it's out the beast. We should have some bulbs. There seems to be one. If you look at this from the back, that seems to be a blank, but there is one bulb. Would have thought there would be more than one bulb. I haven't taken one of these apart before, so I'm just having a good look, see if there's any others in a funny position. I don't think there is. I was under the impression there was 2. So that's interesting. Right, let's get this one out. They're quite easy to take out, I think. Sometimes you need pliers and stuff, but let's have a look. Blimey, that looks a bit dark, doesn't it? It's burnt out a long time ago. This is a 2006, we're now 2017, so it's a fair few years old, so I guess when these bulbs go, no one ever really replaces them. I'm just wondering if we get a bulb and put it in that one, if we can test to see if that comes on or not, because there's no electrical contacts on the outside. as you can see, so whether or not one's been taken out and never put back, I don't know. So I might just test that, because it does seem a bit dim to have one bulb. Right, I'll have a look at that. Right, so the new wedge bulb has been pushed in. They are easy to get out. You do need two hands, so I couldn't film that, but that's the old one that has blown a long time ago. So yeah, I'm just going to get this in the correct hole, test it, and then I'm going to put it in that other hole just to see if it lights up or not. It might be because this car, it hasn't got air conditioning, so looking at where that blank goes, it might be to do with not having air conditioning. But anyway, let's just see what this does. Right, so taking the fuse panel off the side, some problems fitting this bulb. I saw it light up once, but not again. So I've just gone through, and what happened was I tried to start the van, and it wouldn't start, and none of the lights were on the instrument panel. So it looks like I've shorted out the light bulb in there. Maybe putting it with the wire, because the wires are so thin that you can end up crossing them over. So I think that's probably what's gone on. So when you do change these, make sure the wires go directly downwards either side of the bulb and not horizontal. So yeah, looking at this list, stop, which I guess is the instrument panel bulbs. So this plus those, because when you turn the ignition, you don't get anything coming up, like the engine kind of oil OK lights or anything like that. So I've gone down to the third one down, which is in there, taking that out, and sure enough it's blown. There is an easier way of doing this with a screwdriver with a lamp in it, but we haven't got one of those. So 15, let's put that one up there. There's a 15. Pop that back in there. If I can find it, there we go. So that's 15 back in. This does come with a handy removal tool, which is good. So let's put all this back together. There we go, that's back in. And I'm going to test the bulbs again, also starting the van. Right, so changed that fuse. Sure enough, there we go, the lights have come on. The lights have come on there, so that's all good. I must have shorted it when I was pushing it in. You can clearly see once the bulb's been replaced that it does come on. The only weird thing I thought was that the lights are, yeah, fine on the right, but nothing on the left. That blank, whoops, that blank that I thought was a bulb hole there isn't. It's the axis for, I think it's the speed. So yeah, that isn't a bulb, ignore that. But what I found is, just under there is another bulb, under this. So the heater mechanism, so if you turn it all the way as far as possible to hot, you should be able to get in and change that bulb. So I'm going to do that bulb next. We are finally there after fuse blowing, excitement. It works. That is really fiddly to do that one though. That one there is, yeah, a little bit fiddly. I thought this controller might pull off, but it didn't. So yeah, interesting that. If you do short out the bulb when you're putting it in and it does blow the fuse, just be aware that your van won't start. None of those lights will light up, and you need to change that fuse, which on the guide is marked up as stop for all the engine stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna put all this back together now. I guess I start by pushing that under there. That's it, that's got that in place. The lights, should do this at night time. So that's in place. This pops onto there. The gator pops on top of that. I might have to stop filming because I can't do it with one hand on the camera and one on the thing. Right, let's come back. Right, and there she is, all back together again. I haven't put the screws in yet, but what I'd say is when you're pushing this in, if it doesn't clip into place properly, in these plastic bits in here, just make sure that the plastic at either side is on the outside. It's not getting caught up on anything at all. There's a bit of trim down by the driver's side that I was getting caught on. So yeah, just make sure that this plastic's on the outside. Right, we're all still working. That just leaves me to put the hex screws back in to either side. Oh, something I haven't done. I haven't put the screws in for this, so I need to pull this out again. Like so, and do the screws. 1, 2, 3. Black one in the middle, shiny ones either side. Short ones, the black one in the middle, longer one shiny either side. Right, so my 5-minute job that's turning into 10. These screws are kind of now in place. One thing to watch out for, if you hear things pinging, sounding like that, these metal inserts that go on the plastic. So when you're trying to line it up, they ping off. They just push back in place onto the plastic. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind really. If you look, there's the metal there, and then on this push fit, there's nothing, it's just come off. So yeah, listen out for that and make sure you put them back on. There's another bit that needs to be checked here. We've got the black plastic going into the grey plastic, and there's a little tag that needs to go in the hole in the middle of the grey tag, and there's one at the bottom as well. And then there is a push fit that just pushes in like that, and then you can put the 2 final screws in. Right, that is it. Blimey. Top tips. The bulbs you need are these. Don't buy cheapy ones. Get some rings. Auto bulbs, T5s. Not the van. We don't talk about T5 vans. R286 12 volt 1.2 watt. There were 10 in here. I've done another car instrument panel with these bulbs. So looking at that, that's all good. So there's a bulb about here, behind here, and there's a one, I think it was roughly just in here. So that's the more trickier one to get hold of. Remember the clips, the metal clips, they all fall off when you take this off. This one stayed on, but the 2 either side, they just pinged off, and you don't think anything of it until you push it all back and it's all a bit loose. So bear that in mind. Also, these screws, just put them in, they should go in really easily. If they don't, you're either the trim's not lined up or you're starting to cross thread them. So yeah, they should just go in sort of silky smooth really. Remember to put the 3 screws in before putting this bit back on. 3 screws in here, so the black one in the middle, 2 shiny ones either side. Get those in place. Be careful with the front. I may have scratched that a little bit, but I'm not bothered. So yeah, not a not a hard job to do, but not an easy job, bit fiddly. I ended up blowing a fuse somehow, changing the bulb. Like I said, the bulbs, these little wedge bulbs, they've just got a loose wire either side. So whether I had a loose wire wrapping all the way round, so we had 2 loose wires on one side and it shorted it all out. But that managed to blow a 15-watt fuse. On the fuse board, it's the one labelled stop. You'll know because, like I said earlier, you won't get any instrument lights coming on whatsoever. Also, the rear heater won't work. That won't come on, that light. Weirdly enough, that light does still come on if the fuse is blown. But yeah, and the car won't start. So it's quite a good anti-theft device, really. If you don't want your van stolen, take out the stop fuse and it won't start. The engine turns, but it's like the immobilizer is kicking in, and it's not like not allowing it to fire. So yeah, interesting stuff. That's it. I think I need to push this back, don't I? Something like that. That was the easiest bit. Job done. Bye.